We'll call this August 24th meeting to order. Need silent meditation. Stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dan, could you read the mission statement?
Yes.
Our mission is to guide students to become informed, engaged citizens, and curious lifelong learners.
We have no public participation.
Very good. We will move on to approval of minutes and claims. We recommend your approval from the minutes of the August 10th, 2026 board.
So moved.
Second.
Jeff, Jill, all in favor? 7-0.
We recommend your approval of the corporation claims and payroll as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Bill, Katie, all in favor? 7-0.
Next on the agenda is our high school student council president, Kyra Urbano. See, I remember.
You say it right and everything.
Sing all day.
So I'm here today on behalf of our high school student council, just to share a little bit of good news and keep you guys updated on a few things that are going on over there. So we recently, in the spring, got our notice from the Indiana Association of Student Councils that we will have the pleasure to host the Indiana Association of Student Council State Convention this year. So this November, we will be hosting approximately 250 to 300 students from student councils all around the state at the middle school for some leadership development, things like that, with keynote speakers, we have some brainstorming things, and we have some community involvement kind of things, just to get everybody in the right mindset, get us all as leaders kind of shaped a little bit better and getting to know each other and that sort of thing. So we're very, very excited. One of our current projects we're doing right now is we're making a video, not just welcoming them into Devon Wheatfield and the middle school, but kind of getting them to know their support systems. So part of that is my asking of you guys, your next board meeting, we'd love to pop in and do a little video with you guys as part of that support system, getting to know your corporation people, getting to know your principals. And we want to try and get that involvement even out to like your state representatives and those kind of people, just so that we can get our youth leaders more involved with not just their community as in like their school, but their geographic location a little bit more. So we'd love to see you guys at the convention, November 13th to November 15th. We'd love to have you guys stop by. We'll have a lot more information coming out soon. We just met with the state board on Sunday, a couple of our executive council members from the high school. So we were down in Westville for that. So we met them, we got some good work done, and we're very, very excited to get to bring this to Wheatfield. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Kara, do you guys need anything else?
I could just support within the buildings. I mean, we're never gonna turn down donations within the community.
Yeah, we did. We had a couple of our executive members before we started school. We did pop over at the Rotary meeting. So we got to know those people a little bit too and get to kind of just show our faces and shake hands and all that stuff. But we're trying to make our mark while we can. So yeah, any support, of course, but we'd love to have you guys over too. So
And everybody's staying at like hotels or with family. There's no host families, correct?
yeah, we for the last state convention, we had to do a little bit of a drive to our school. So that wasn't really a problem for the state board this year. And so pretty much any school that they were thinking about up here would have that commute anyway. And we had it in Lawrenceburg last year, so it was way, way south. And so we were like, hey, can we do it up north? And they were like, yeah. And of course we wanted to throw our hat in the ring and we got it. So
Fantastic. Very exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Under report items, we'd like to congratulate Luke Chappelle for being selected by the IHSAA to play the national anthem on Saturday, November 28th at the football state finals. Pretty exciting. Yeah. And thank you to everyone for making the start of the 2026-2027 school year a success. All the hard work and preparation was noticed and appreciated. So a lot went into it, so thank you. Under employment actions, we have 4 resignations, and we recommend that you accept the resignations as listed.
So moved.
Second. Jill, Jeff, all in favor? 7-0.
We have 2 leave requests, and we ask that you consider these leave requests.
So moved.
Second. Katie, Bill, all in favor? 7-0.
Under extracurricular, we have 1 recommendation, and we ask that you accept that recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
Dan, Jeff, all in favor? 7-0.
Under employment, we have 1 listed for under certified, and we recommend your approval for the certified position. Note that it will be a temporary 1-year position.
So moved. And Bill? Sound the same anyway. All in favor? 7-0.
Under classified, we recommend your approval for the classified positions as listed.
So
Second.
Jeff, Jill, all in favor? 7-0.
New business. Tonight, we're going to have our public hearing for the 2027 budget, capital projects plan, bus replacement plan. The Board of Education for the Kankakee Valley School Corporation hereby holds a public hearing on the 2027 advertised school budget, capital projects plan, and bus replacement plan. The required notices to taxpayers have been posted on the State of Indiana Gateway website and the Kankakee Valley School Corporation website. So at this time, we're going to turn it over to Mr. Chris Ritchie to go over the information that is in the proposed budget.
Budget really has 3 different parts that we approved: the capital projects plan, bus replacement plan. We approved appropriations, and we approved tax rates and levies for those funds that we budget funds that are part of the budget: education fund, debt service, referendum debt operations, and rainy day. Education fund, it includes instructional expenses. Those are things like faculty or aides for materials, supplies, substitutes. This fund is state supported through property or through sales tax for the most part. And no property tax revenue goes towards the education fund. State support is based predominantly on enrollment, and our enrollment from the years 2021 through 2025 has been decreasing steadily. We're down 364 students over those 5 years, which is 10.12% of our students. In 2026-27, this year, so far we're expecting to have around 2,862 students this year. So that is a decrease from where we left off in spring of 26. State support for the education fund, remember this, we said, was largely determined by our median counter enrollment. And we saw increases in 21-22, then it starts kind of leveling off, and as our enrollment went down again this year, we're expecting state support to go down about 1.45% in 26-27. How we spend those dollars? And chart. We spent about last year in 25, $26.8 million in education fund expenditures. 90% of that is spent on salary and benefits. Supplies and curriculum materials make up 5.1%. If you look back in years before 2023, it'd probably be a lot lower because curriculum materials were a separate fund, and General Assembly decided to moved curriculum materials all to education fund, and now that expenditure comes out of our education fund. Professional development and some other things make up 2.4%. And we do 2.5% transfer last year from education to operations that were allowed to by state law. During those years, we've seen expenditures increase 32.9% in the education fund. Salary and benefits went up 26.17%. And the curriculum materials, it went up 92%. That's where they moved that fund into, or curriculum materials into education fund, which made your total expenditures up there also. Operation fund, these are all the things that are non-instructional, things like transportation, utilities, equipment, maintenance, our corporation office staff, the things that you need to run a school that are not, though, usually instructional. This is limited to a maximum growth percentage set by the state each year. In the past 4 years, it's been 4%. This year, we were able to get 7.4%, which is a good increase. They tell us that that is kind of a 1-year thing, and in 28 and further out, it'll go back down. I think they're projecting about 5% next year, and then 3.9 after that. That's always subject to General Assembly. Some years, sometimes they cap those if they think they're going to be too high. And that's what happened in 21 through 25. General Assembly decided to cap them when they would have been higher. Circuit breaker losses. This is something that's really taking its toll on schools across the state as the property tax reforms have been enacted with Senate Bill 1 in 2025. There were expanded tax credits, and as people pay less in the property taxes, means the school also gets less than ours. So we had back in 25, we had a circuit breaker of $14,250. Those are dollars that we just lose out of our education fund. They're not made back in any way. In 2026, once a lot of those credits started taking effect, that number went up to $433,765. We're estimating $500,027. By 2029, that number will be, it's estimated at $707,000. It will go up from 27 to 29, about 63%. And as hard as it is for us, there are surrounding communities where that number is in the millions that they're losing. And a lot of those schools that are in the media seeking referendums, that has a huge effect. Moving forward, over those 5 years, we see increases in our expenditures of 19.23%. Operation fund year to year can be very different depending on what type of repairs and things are needed at buildings. Salaries and benefits made up 45% of our operation. 2025. Debt funds. These are the funds that we use to pay for the bonds that the school holds. Referendum debt fund is for middle school. And we also have debt service funds for renovations that were done in the past at our different school facilities. And we're anticipating issuing another bond later this fall for maintenance and repairs that goes with the project that we're currently doing at our other bonds. Another bond to add to that same project. This is illustrative of our current debt. 2026, we see we will have one debt that pays off. That's the GO bonds of 2024, and that capacity will be absorbed in 2027 with the bond that will issue later this fall. We do see a step down in 2029 that could be used for some future expansions if so desired. And then we have our middle school gets paid off in 2029. We see what's on there. Rainy day fund. This allows for funds to be set aside for unexpected things that come up. There's no property tax levy or rate that goes into that. And we have not added additional funds to that since 2021. Also, we have a bus replacement plan. In our plan for 2027, we include 5 regular buses. That is what we did last year. That is the current plan. That does not mean we will actually purchase 5 buses, but we will be approved to do so. Bus prices continue to increase quite a bit, and lead times are 6 to 9 months for a school bus, which is an improvement because I think we were seeing 24 months at one point. Capital projects plan, we try to use this plan to keep track of things that we're working on. Some schools don't put anything on. Big things coming up will be the pool repairs that are needed, and I know Adam will be talking about those coming up. Property tax rates, we have advertised 98.73 cents. 98.73 cents. We expect that the rate will come in between where we were in 21 and where we're going to be, or where we were in 22. We have upward pressure for our rate coming up because assessed valuation went down this year, which always makes rates go up. We also have a larger maximum growth quotient at 7.62%, which puts more dollars in the operations fund, which drives the rate up a little bit. So I would anticipate it being in between 21 and 22, which will still be lower than what we're advertising at 90. Average school in state Indiana is over $1. Beautiful. Do you have any questions? This is a school bus now, Chris. Budgeting 200,000 for 2027. We've been going up, I think it's close to 15%. For one school bus.
Wow, 15% a year?
A year?
School bus business.
200,000 go buy a house.
Wasn't that long ago or when we started. So, right, yeah, right. I can go to budget up for as Chris had mentioned, the assessed valuation, which is part of that formula to come up with our tax rate. The assessed valuation in Jasper County has dropped compared to a few other neighboring counties, but has increased a little bit. So that will play with the tax rate a little bit, but we're still well below the average of well below the average of our neighbors and things. Well, at this time, the floor is open for public comments and or questions regarding the proposed 2027 school budget, capital projects plan, and bus replacement plan. Okay. Well, at this time, I'd recommend to the board the following. The Board of Education of the Kankakee Valley School Corporation did conduct a public hearing on the advertised 2027 school budget, capital projects plan, and bus replacement plan in accordance with Indiana code, and heard 0 patrons who objected to the proposed budget, tax rate, tax levy, capital projects plan, and or bus replacement plan. So,
All in favor?
Second.
Oh, there wasn't a second. Okay, Jeff and Jill?
Sure.
All in favor, 7-0?
use of school facilities, we recommend your approval of the facility request as listed. So move.
Second.
Bill, Katie? All in favor? 7-0?
Under professional leaves, we'd recommend your approval for the professional leaves as listed. So moved.
Second. Jeff, Dan, all in favor? 7-0?
Those are all the items we have for our regular school board.
Motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Jeff, Katie, all in favor? 7-0? 5:49.
Yes. Okay, at this time we'll move into the work session. There's no one for public comment. So we'll, first on our work session agenda is Adam from Barton Covell, dealing with our summer projects and updates.
Thank you. Good to see everybody.
Welcome.
We have a lot going on, so thank you. We're gonna go through what we have in construction first. And then a few projects in design as well. So there's a lot going on the last year, this whole summer going into the school year. So we have a group of mechanical, electrical projects, and then a couple of roofing jobs right now under construction. So there's fewer pictures on some mechanical, electrical projects. They'll get a little more fun as we go with pictures. So the city water project is basically done. I think last week the filter building work was all finished out. So that's in closeout right now. We've done a punch list. So we're getting ready to close out that job. There was no contingency remaining. We put a small one in to begin with, and then it was used pretty much right away in construction. We figured out another irrigation line. It was kind of a surprise. It was fixed for that. So you had the funds already in the project. So that one's going to close out with nothing left. And then please jump in with questions at any time. Yeah, it doesn't have to be anything formal. So that's the city water project. The intermediate middle school HVAC project. The middle school was a bunch of piping repairs. You had a lot of leaking hydronics. So that's basically done. There's one valve to still be replaced. We've already done a punch list on that one as well. So that went right up to the wire, but they got that all done over the summer. The intermediate school is going to go on through next summer because of the chiller. So it's controls replacement project and the chiller. The chiller is with Arctic Engineering now. They're just going to store it until next summer. We can actually do that work. So next summer will still be a lot of work to get that done with the controls. We actually have a little increase there. So you got a credit right away from our contingency. So it went up just slightly. So nothing's been used yet, but there was a set of valves that were not installed. So you got a credit back for that. That's a rare but positive one going in the good direction. The electrical project, it just bid recently in July. So it's just starting. We're doing paperwork and contracts. And it does include a $40,000 allowance on that one. So that's just getting going. But that'll be done next summer, July 27th. Okay. The high school HVAC project. So the geothermal chiller. So we're starting to get some pictures here, a more exciting. That was installed, but the controls work again will go through next year, through next August to get everything done in the building and get everything running and firing together. There's been a little bit of movement on the contingency, so we put 150,000 into the bid. You're down to about 137 because of some additional control valve, and electrical connections. So again, kind of just starting, but a little time to go there. Roofing, I mentioned coming in, we climbed on some roofs today. So this one is just about done. We did a punch list today. We'll get that issued out. It's looking really good. There's very minor things for them to fix and repair as they go. But yeah, it's looking very good. The roof manufacturer has not walked that yet for the warranty. That's happening soon. That'll start the warranty process once the manufacturer approves the work. But yeah, very minor issues on the punch list, nothing to be too excited about. You use just a little bit of contingency, so you will have quite a bit coming back from that one. You had some wet plywood up there once they ripped off the shingles and started to go, so we did have to use some of that. But all in all, it was pretty good. All right, the high school, the West Annex, so kind of the 76th edition, the big side there on the west. We're doing all that roofing and the metal panels, the two mechanical penthouses that are up there. So the rubber, the EPDM is done. That's all been done, but they still have the metal to do. All the copings and metal and edge metal, so they'll still be working there for a little while. The skylights were just done over the last week and a half or so. They look really good. We'll walk through the building and see those. The quality of the light's really nice. The penthouse doors up top, like pretty much the entire roof up envelope. We did get into a little bit of wet insulation. We had a lot of that included in the bid to be replaced. And then they did find some other things. There's been a little trading going on with what we had included in other areas they found. But you're at 78,300 left. There's going to be a small hit to that from the two skylight curves that were there. They had old angled blocking. I'll show you a picture. And the new skylight manufacturer recommends flat blocking for their installation. So there will be a small charge for that. But there we go. I don't know if you can tell very well from that, but that's when they ripped off the old skylight. You can see there's a level on there, but yeah, there's old angled wood blocking. They just had to remove that and add some flat blocking. I don't have a new picture, but they look really good. I was up there today. I think there's one piece of glass they have to replace. It came backwards, like the low E film was on the glass backwards. So the manufacturer has to give you another piece of glass. But besides that, everything looks really good. The picture on the bottom left is when they just started. So that's the far west end, kind of above the IT area, just starting ripping off membrane and putting me back down. And this white, that's your insulation. That was a big area of wet insulation that they ripped off and replaced. And then you had a masonry chimney, a flue in the old boiler room. It wasn't doing much of anything. You had one piece of equipment you needed, none of the rest, and it was in really bad shape. So that was an alternate that we were able to accept to just get that down so there's no more maintenance in the future. So the one flue you did need is new. It's up there now, but it's just one metal flue instead of the old masonry chimney. So that was some good demo there. All right, so that's construction. We'll get into some design. So these will take a little more. We've had some investigations in a lot of these, which is always fun. We've learned, we find a lot of things. So that's why we like to do them. The more we know up front, the better. So we'll talk about the pool and HVAC project. So we're currently in the middle of design. We've had a bunch of meetings. We're gonna have more coming up, and we have a lot of help from a lot of friendly contractors and suppliers because it's a unique thing we're trying to do there and fix for you. So we've talked with masons, other contractors, metal panel suppliers, all kinds of people to help, really inform us and give you the best recommendations. Construction will start in spring of 27 after swim season. It's very likely a full year of construction between what we're doing inside and out, ripping off the envelope and the roof. And we're, poking holes through the building. I'll show you some pictures and tell you how and why, but, so it's pretty intense construction. So we anticipate a year. That's one thing. I am getting help from other contractors just to really pin that down so you can plan swim seasons accordingly. But it's a lot of work for what we're doing. So $5 million total project budget at this point. So that includes everything total. With alternates like we always do, try to get you a little more on bid day, if bids come in favorably. So some alternates might be replacing the pool deck quarry tile. So not the stuff you just did around the pool perimeter, the 2x2 red and gray. Keep that. The older tan, brown, orange looking tile. I'll try to replace that and go back with more of the 2x2. The lane markers inside the pool, that tile, some of that's failing, needs to be repaired, and then also painting the rest of the pool inside. Let's see. On the exterior, the east drive lane, when you go, if you're driving south with the halftime building on your left there, students crossing. If we can move that drive further east, it'll give you a little more visibility. And yeah, help from a student safety standpoint. So that's something that we didn't originally talk about, but as we started really getting into design, we thought it'd be a nice alternate for you to do, just to help from a safety standpoint, because the pool's so close to the corner, it just blocks the view. And then the second floor restrooms upstairs, just to refresh those, keep them as they are, but just all new finishes, fixtures, ceilings, lights, flooring, all those. So those are some alternates that we plan to include. We might stumble across some more. But the rest of the scope, I mentioned the envelope quickly. So to remind you of what you have a building built in 76, it's a steel building with block and brick infill. So there's a steel frame that holds it up, columns in the walls. When it was built, you only had 1 inch of rigid insulation in a pool, which even at that time was not much, definitely not adequate for a pool environment. And then your roofing, you have EPDM, so the black membrane on top, like most of the building is, and also that sloping metal roof that faces east. So it's replacing all of that, keep the block inside as much as we can, take the brick off from the exterior, take the insulation off, and then rebuild it correctly with 3 inches of insulation with a true weather barrier system, all those good things you want to have inside your wall. That means the wall gets 4 inches thicker, so the foundation gets thicker to hold the brick up all the way around. So there's going to be a lot of earthwork, removing some concrete, get that foundation to the ground. And then above the roof, where you're supporting brick, you're currently supporting brick up above the roof. When the wall gets 4 inches wider, that would be more difficult, and what you have there now is not adequate. So instead of spending a boatload of money with steel or putting new columns into your cafeteria and all kinds of stuff to hold the brick up, we're going to recommend using an insulated metal panel. So not dissimilar to what we're putting on the penthouses of the roof. Something that's lightweight and that can support itself with your current structure, so that we could pick a color that kind of blends in and fades away. And the view of the metal panel, you really can't see it from either entrance. Forget your door numbers there, but on either side, the north or the south door. If you're at the right angle, you might see a little bit, but I don't think it's going to look bad. You have a lot of metal on your building anyway. And it will definitely save you money. So that's kind of our recommendation for just the backside above the roof. We're going to get into some pictures on this one, but the columns I mentioned on the outside exterior of the building and the wall are shot. They're rusted at the bottom because of how it was built and just how it's weathered over the years. So that's the worst news. The bottom 3 foot or so of all those columns around the building need to be cut out, welded a new, patch in place, and kind of fixed back together. I'll show you some pictures why. The rest of the instructional inspection that we did with our engineer looks really good. So all the roof joists, the joist seats where they sit on the wall, all that kind of stuff up top looks really good. We were more worried about that, honestly. But so you do have some bad news with the structure, but we can fix that. New membrane and metal roofs, I mentioned that. New pool mechanical system entirely. So that's what serves the pool basin itself. So what you have in the mezzanine will be removed and replaced, but on the roof with a true pool mechanical unit. So we got to do a little structure up there too to support this big box that's going to sit on the roof. But it's going to be a much better system, much more controllable for a pool environment. You have one piece in there that serves your cafeteria that we're not going to touch. Doesn't need to be, but it is sitting up there in the pool mezzanine. It does serve part of the cafeteria. New pool lights, just in the pool basin itself, ceilings, paint, finishes. There's only a couple windows and exterior doors to replace, but the whole envelope, and then everything inside the pool basin itself. I mentioned the cafeteria, there's no scope in there. So everything in there will remain. We don't have to do anything in there. Very minor stuff above ceiling, but nothing that you'll see.
So it'll be lit up nice. It'll be nice and bright inside the pool area, or
It will, yeah. We're actually the light calcs, and it's below half of standards right now for a pool. It's pretty dim, as you know. So yeah, it'll be nice and bright. We have some lights we're going to propose and show everybody the next meeting that are actually really nice. You can do a little branding on them if you want, but yeah, it'll be more than twice as bright overall.
Good.
Yeah.
If we can replace that floor, that would help too.
Yeah,
The floor is
it's a
dark.
dark color, yeah, the grass very dark, so that would help a lot. Oh, yeah, and I mentioned some of these investigations as we went. I have pictures of more brick. So yeah, you didn't notice the plywood patches. We took two big areas on the exterior, first floor at column locations to take off the brick to make sure that we, what the drawing said is what was built, because in the past we found differences from what the old drawings, had. And that's where we started to see the trouble with the columns. So I'll show you pictures there. You also had brick spalling and efflorescence, which we've talked about in the past from our report and everything. So that'll all be fixed because we're taking off all the brick. Condensation inside the building will be improved not only with the envelope, but also the pool mechanical unit. And then, the existing windows, which we thought had issues on, actually, they were repaired at some point. The lintels above them were replaced not terribly long ago. So we didn't know that, so we kind of tore it apart. So you've been working on it, over the years, there's been repairs made. But yeah, that was an interesting one that we found.
What windows are they except the ones that go?
Second floor, as you walk up the stairs, those two clear story windows that's it, just those two.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I'm like, the ones I could think of are the ones that kind of go towards the cafeteria. I don't know
Yeah.
if they're interior. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
right. Yeah, they're above the roof, the two up there. As you
Okay.
walk up the stairs, there's one, and then as you go to the restrooms, there's another one on that side too.
okay.
Probably 4x4, 4x5, something like that. And then I mentioned the steel. It's really just the columns and the base plates. Everything else is in really good shape for the age of the building, and considering it's a pool. So that's very good news. All right, so pictures of columns, exterior. I picked a select few. We have a lot, but I picked a select few to try to show you what's going on. So basically, in the picture on the left, you see the column in the middle. We cut out this brick, cut out the 1-inch rigid insulation so we could see the block in this picture. When the building was built, it was kind of, let's say, cobbled together. So around where you see this concrete block, and as it comes into the column there, below the floor level would normally be fully grouted. No voids, no nothing, just fully grouted. In this case, it kind of stuffed in some block here and there. And then the flashing that allows the water in the wall to come out either didn't exist or was very disconnected, especially as it went around the column. So the issue you had is bulk water in the wall. Masonry walls take on water, you have to let it out. That's the nature of masonry. It wasn't getting out and it was hitting the steel because the steel really wasn't protected. So the amount of rusting and the flaking and scaling, especially like if you look at that right picture, like the web of the columns, let's say 3/4 inches thick, it's double that size there just because it's expanding so much because of all the rust. So they're shot. I mean, they're totally failed. So we need to come up and cut, like I said, 3 to 4 feet up, which is going to be a hole in your building. So you got to block out, a fair amount of work to fix that. And there's 18 locations. But we can fix it, and it's definitely not detrimental. The building can be repaired.
Are those actually I-beams or is that just flat stock steel?
Yeah, it's an I-beam. Yeah,
It is
so,
an I-beam.
yeah, used as a column, right? Yeah, a W shape.
I didn't know because that middle picture, when it goes up, you can see the cross member there.
That is actually a piece of insulation.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah, so the insulation was kind of tucked into the column, and that was it. And depending on the column and where we cut, like I said, some of the flashing was there and some was not,
Okay.
but nothing was continuous around the column. So that's a huge problem. But we're gonna, since the wall gets 4 inches thicker, we're gonna put insulation in the whole new weatherbury system in front of the columns totally. So all that moisture, wherever it would drain, is in front of the columns to begin with, to the exterior, and then it'll be flashed correctly, and have weeps and vents so it can breathe. So that'll be the biggest improvement once we get that done. So yeah, that condition will totally go away once it's fixed. So that hole was on the south side. This one's on the north side, and actually this shows you on the left. The blue is the rigid insulation. So you can see it just kind of butted to the column, and that was it. And there's a bunch of airspace, a bunch of voids that you don't want. And then in this case, instead of block, they just threw some brick in the wall. And like I said, it was kind of built differently, different crews and different days maybe, but again, we can fix that. But this column here on the north still was in really bad shape.
That brick is not supporting brick, is it?
No, it's just infill. So that should be and will be just fully grouted when we're done, just solid. And then, the flashing and everything goes in front of that. Yeah, voids and airspace like that where water can get in is just a
Yeah.
disaster, so. Yeah, this particular column is in the north wall, like in the wall of the boys' locker there on the north side. So those are the columns. That's the bad news. Bricks falling, which you've seen before. This is that southwest corner where the 45-degree angle is. That's up high. And then, with different water issues and spalling and efflorescence around the building. So all of that will be cleaned up and everything. So the one on the left is the lintel repair. It's above those second floor windows, the 2 windows above the roof. We knew there were issues there, and once we got into the wall, it looked like I said, not terribly long ago. There was a repair made, the old lintel taken out, new one put in with actual flashing. So there was an attempt. So it probably helped, be a few more years, but it'll all be replaced as part of the job. And then this picture on the right is on the east side where the eave kind of overhangs there. There's a structure that goes out. And there is some rust, but honestly, it's in really good shape again for the year, the age of the building. So we don't recommend spending any more money on steel up there, just your comment. Same picture here. This is just one of the typical bar joists up high. The primer's still on it. It's in great shape. And then the metal roof, which does need to be replaced. There, this one picture facing the halftime building.
So on that picture of the existing metal roof, currently, when you get to the edge and it goes down, it's over top of shrubs. From that metal roof, we get 3-4 feet icicles that hang from that. So how are we changing that so that if there is a sidewalk there, we're not sparing a kid with an icicle?
Not our goal.
Right.
So right now you don't have any gutters or downspouts to begin with. We're going to do that to actually collect and control the water. And then we would definitely not put the sidewalk right under the eave. It would be out, but you're going to have, you don't have any ice and snow guards on the metal roof. We'll do that. It's like you see at Demonic, the big bars that go across. So if anything starts to slide, it breaks. So it's a combination of all.
I mean, they're gorgeous icicles, but the shrubs are fine. Humans, not so much.
But a sidewalk would be out of that.
Okay.
We'll do our best to control, the ice and anything that can happen.
Okay.
Just controlling the water is going to help you tremendously because the picture of the brick pier right here in the middle where it's very, very dark, that's just years of just bulk water, just making the wall wet and just destroying it. So just controlling the water with the gutters is going to be a good improvement.
So this exterior brick will all be brand new or reusing brick?
It'll be brand new. It's
Okay.
actually cheaper to buy new bricks than to try to save brick and clean the mortar and then reinstall it.
Gotcha.
Plus, you have so many bricks that are cracked and damaged, you'd have a hard time with it. So all brand new brick.
The structure is okay for this season.
Yes. Yeah. The only brick that I'm concerned about in the short term is this corner up high. It's a little bit loose. So that's the only brick. We probably could ask Matt for a little help, a couple hours to just make sure things aren't falling.
Good
I think
idea.
that's probably a smart thing to do, especially going into the winter. And that could be done pretty quickly. That's not a big area, but it is right on above the sidewalk. It's busy. So, but the rest of it is totally fine structurally. Yeah, no issues with that.
And mechanically, the pool is okay.
Oh yeah. It's fine. The new system is very different than your current one, and like I said, it will be better. It's a better system, but there's no problems. There's nothing detrimental right now to the mechanicals in there at all. Okay, let's see. So a few more images on the pool. On the left side, the floor plan there, just trying to make it a simple graphic. The red dots are the 18 column locations on the exterior where we need to poke some holes and do some repairs. The yellow line on the left plan is the interior brick inside. It's all painted right now. It goes behind the concessions area or the little cafe area. All that, we're not touching any of that. That all stays. So what we're doing is everything outside. And then on the right, that's the roof plan. So the red box is the new rooftop mechanical unit that will sit there. if you're in the parking lot pretty far out, yes, you'll see the box. We're gonna try to get a kind of a brown color again, just like all your metal panels and things to make it go away, but we don't think you need to spend the money on any sort of a screen wall or anything fancy up there. You're just gonna, more money, more structure. But it will look like a big metal box. You already have penthouses, so we didn't think it was a problem. When I mentioned all the roofing, adding the gutters and downspouts there, the flue line. And then flipping the parking and drive. Again, so this is a site plan with a walk along the building, not under the eave, but putting parking there and making traffic go further east just to give you as much distance as you can right there where everybody's crossing. So we brought our civil on board to start looking at that, and if we can get that alternate, I think it's a great move, just extra safe, and then you'll end up with a bunch of new paving there, so that would help with that down. So one image of what it might look like inside. We're just starting to look at this with colors, what we figured out that how the new ductwork's going to run. So currently on the east side of the building where you see the white round of duct, currently you have a smaller piece of plaster with a really small kind of louver right there. We need to rip that out and kind of modify the shape of the ceiling just a little bit to get that new duct in, but it'll give you much better airflow. You draw the water across the pool, and then it's not quite in the rendering, but on the opposite side of the deck, there's going to be kind of a new bench, like a bench seat, but that'll pull the air through and exhaust it. You want to take the fumes low across the pool. So that's going to be a drastic improvement, just the way the air moves through the space. And then, of course, we're going to play around with, what's a color, what isn't, your current logo, what happens to it down there, because we're repainting and reworking the interior. If you do get new deck tile, logos and things like that. So we're just starting kind of the design inside, but it's an interesting shape. It's an interesting space. So you can definitely have some, nice visuals if you want. So yeah, in this case, maybe a little color. Let's see.
If we're putting KV on the floor, can it like face the stands?
Yes,
No.
yeah, it could be anywhere on the deck.
Like right now it's underneath the diving
Yeah.
board and sideways
Yeah,
for most people.
yeah, absolutely. I think you have enough deck space there. Of course, you'd have to probably be at the railing to really see it, but but it should probably face the stands. Yeah, the crowd. I agree.
If it happens.
All right, so that was the pool. Anything else before I leave the pool? Okay, so what we're calling the GC job, only because there's kind of a handful of things that make a good general construction kind of package. So currently, again, it's kind of paralleling design with the pool. We want to bid it at the same time as two separate bids and allow a combo bid, because it might get you a better price overall on bid day, but you don't have to accept it that way. Just gives you more flexibility. So we're going to bid it at the same time. Construction on that can start in early 27. Some of that's kind of on your schedule, depending on the work where you want to start. It's $2.5 million total project. Honestly, I think you probably could do less than that and save or spend this money somewhere else. Have a little money there just because of the scope you've talked about. I don't think we'll totally max that out unless I'm missing a big curveball, but I just don't see it. What we've talked about. So that's what that second line is there. So the bigger chunks of that is to create 2 to 3 single restrooms at the high school. I'll show you where we're thinking for those. To create 2 more at the middle school. Pretty good locations to create them. And then some more masonry restoration. The high school, the pool problem will be gone. That's a separate project, but the rest of the masonry that's there are some needs. None of them are pressing. But we can kind of go as far as the budget allows, or if you'd like, with some of the metal we do on the Rolox sill, just making sure it's going to last long term for you. And other buildings, we know other buildings do not have some issues we need to fix. Yeah, there's some masonry here and there. So those are the 2 pieces that are big. There's a few miscellaneous exterior doors and windows we could toss in, but again, it's mostly the restrooms and it's the masonry work. So the high school restrooms on the left here is the old original concessions. It's right off the cafeteria, to the north end of the cafeteria. I don't even know what it's used for now, if anything, but it was the old, very small concessions, or you did the renovation in the middle.
Storage.
Some storage. They use it like if they sell tickets for events.
It does have that window, yeah. But there's enough room to put a single restroom in it, close out that window that's right off the cafeteria and put a very small janitor's closet in there next to it. So that's a really nice spot for one. And then on the right, this is the main corridor to the gym, your main gym to the east. The current main student public restrooms there, which used to be on an exterior wall. But at the south end of the women's, we can sneak one single in just in that kind of vestibule area with a little modification. And then for one second one, we can take over part of the entry into the boys, but it doesn't all fit. So we're proposing to bump out just a little bit into that common space and then keep the brick going in there. So the exterior of all that you'll see will be brick. So all your space right there has brick on it, would be nice. And then you can actually lose that back hall into the boys. Give you more storage, janitor space. You don't have to have that space for any code reasons. So we thought we'd stick some doors in from the restrooms for that. So just extra storage in their space. So those are the three at the high school as of now, the location we're looking at. And then in the middle school, the storage room is there just off the gym. Basically take half of that for restrooms and the other half is still storage for gym. You have this door exists right now for storage. You could use that door, create a restroom, put a chase in the middle and add another door. So you could have two right there. One could be an alternate if you want, but it's really kind of nice to do the two back to back. We are going to very likely have to cut through the terrazzo there to get to a sanitary line. That's the one tricky part. We did a repair recently in that same area, but we'll make a nice clean cut as best we can and either go back with, do something to where it looks intentional. Isn't just a patch, because it is nice space. That's kind of the one thing we can't avoid. All right, here's the last ones. So the high school gym re-roofing. We did do some investigation. That's mainly what I'll talk about. We're starting design. We do have a good recommendation of what to go back with now that we know how it was built, kind of issues you've had over the years. So we're going to open it bids in December on this one and then start its next summer work. I think it's about 850,000 total project. And then what you have for your existing conditions is the old built up asphalt roof that's still there from when it was built. And there's been at least 2 roofs put over it that have been screwed down to the current one. And then there was one previous. We know that because of screw holes in the deck. It's interesting talking with roofers on a roof as you're cutting holes and things. So as we're up there talking, trying to figure out the how and the why of it, why you have things dripping or did have things dripping inside. Apparently, what he was told by the guys that used to do this asphalt work, the old timers that did the asphalt roofing, is at the end of the day, their hot bucket of asphalt, whatever was left, they would dump on the roof. So he asked me how it was built. And I said, that south wall was the exterior wall. The oxygen was not there. So he said, go inside and look at those 2 corners. That's probably where it's the worst. So we went downstairs, got the bleachers out, walked up, and it's absolutely the worst in those 2 corners. So it's interesting. The majority of the roof has very little chance of those big drips. Where they dumped it and the flutes of the field died. And you walk up the bleachers, that's absolutely where you see it. So I'll show you some pictures, but it was very good to learn that and kind of follow the sequence of how it was built. And then of course, as you're aware, when asphalt gets hot, starts to get a little more liquid and drips and things happen. So you have 2 types of deck on this gym. The center and most of the deck is solid deck, no perforation, nothing. It's acoustic structural deck. So it's a deeper deck section. It spans much further than a typical deck. And then on the 2 ends above your bleachers, that's where it's acoustic, it's perforated. And inside the roof deck, on top of the roof, they put batt insulation so that it actually helps, absorb sound. And then all of the deck to begin with was just asphalt glued down. And then in your roofing jobs, you put holes through it. And that's where part of the problem comes in. So that's where some things have been dripping. So it's a combination of part of the old perforations from the acoustic deck and then all the screw holes. So the worst areas that I mentioned there are the south, the orange dots, those 2 corners. That really is just kind of the corners. Once you get away from that, it's improved. And then the 2 yellow spots are the holes you cut in your roof, to figure this out. So on the left is, when we removed the black EPDM and the insulation that was on top. And so you're seeing the granules on top of the old asphalt roof and the asphalt itself. What they did when it was originally built, you see this is the long span deck. They put a layer of hot asphalt down, a stripe of it on top of the ribs of the roof deck, and then glued the insulation on it immediately. So most of the roof, where you see that, it's staying on top of that flute of the deck. It's probably not doing much of anything. But then you see the holes you put in it over the years with different roofing jobs. The big concern we had was at the bottom of the deck. Are the flutes covered in asphalt across the whole roof? That's, a different story, but they're not. It's actually pretty clean. This is the acoustic deck. It might be hard to see, but there's a bunch of small perforations in there. We took the insulation out so we could see that. So the majority of the bottom of those flutes don't have very much asphalt hanging in it, except for those 2 corners. This is another section over the center. This is the solid deck, so not acoustic, just to show us again, like, are we seeing the same conditions? Does it look the same? And it does. So again, of that big top rib of the deck, there's some asphalt where we put the old roof down. The bottom flutes are pretty clean. We made a massive demolition, but they're pretty clean overall. So that was good news. It's not widespread. It's not every square inch. There's a couple pockets of it. Inside, it's probably pretty hard to see, but the notes might help. So there is areas where the perforated deck, there's asphalt coming through. The reason it looks more white is because he just recently had it painted, so paint went on top of the old black asphalt. And then this picture is interesting because it shows all 3 conditions: the perforations, an empty screw hole from when a roof was removed in the past, and then the current roof that has the screws currently going through. One in the middle is more from the perforations, kind of this big chunk of that that's come through. And then on the right, again, it's probably hard to see here. Those are new roof screws that are dripping, and then empty holes right next to them from the. So what we're going to propose to do, I had some help with 2 different roof manufacturers separately to try to, and they actually said the same thing. It's good to hear what they would recommend. And then we're going to kind of maybe go a little more for belt and suspenders approach to this. So we'd like to take everything off down to the metal deck, remove the asphalt to what's practical from the 2 areas in the corner. They'll never get 100%. They're literally scraping it by hand. It's next to impossible, but they can get a fair amount of that out. The other thing you have with re-roofing when you totally tear off is whatever they tear off in one day, they have to put back. So if they do these very small sections, it's very expensive. So there's a balance between what's realistic and what they can get off and what's realistic for you to pay for and get a good quality roof. So the 2 areas where we know it is, we want to tell them to get as much as they can. And for the rest of it, we're not going to tell them to scrape everything off. This is our logic here. But we don't have to screw a new roof down, which I think will help. You can get a warranted roof, actually a better warranty than what your insurance minimum is. We talked to them too to make sure we can get the right insured roof back down. Is to basically rip it all off, clean it up, and put a self-adhering vapor barrier down on the deck, like you would do in a new construction pool. And then from that point up, you can fully adhere everything. So there's low-rise foam for layers of insulation, and then glue for the roof membrane. So we seal the holes in the roof deck. The only thing you have is a space in the flutes from the new vapor barrier to the bottom of the deck. That's all that's left, essentially, as a risk. And then to try to combat the heat and keeping the asphalt liquid if there is any left, we'd like to put more insulation than code minimum on the roof. So instead of 4 inches, at least 6. It'll get thicker as it goes. And then do a white membrane instead of black to help reflect the heat. So we're trying to do everything we can, to spend money wisely and give you a good recommendation of a good roof. Like I said, there in the bottom, there's no way we can ever say you'll never have a drip, but we'll do it, the best that we can do to greatly improve it. So that's what we'd like to recommend for that. That was the last stuff. And to answer any.
More information.
The last project, yeah. So thank you, yes, it's fun.
It's fun.
Travis, anything you need to add?
But I missed.
I think he covered most of it. No, I can't think of anything that we've discussed in the last 6 months that isn't up here.
Mike, do you have a picture of the auditorium seating?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, nice. They still have carpet to put in, correct? It looks a lot different in there.
The carpet's just an aisle away, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was saying, where would you put all the, oh, yeah. Man, that's a lot.
Chairs comfy? Just trying out.
I did not try them out.
I went out there this afternoon and sat in the back row of my reserve seat, and it was nice. It was nice. Yeah, it's comfortable. It was big enough, so it was good. It was good. Travis, while you're here, touch base on the middle school issue we had with the mechanical room, the control box that caught on fire.
The variable frequency drive that controls the geothermal water pump started on fire. So it was gone. Fire department came out, we cleaned it all up. Fortunately, because there's generally a bit of a wait on a VFD, we took one of the ones that we pulled off at the high school. It was a perfect match, so we were able to take it from there and install it. It's a matter of a couple of days. I'm gonna install the program, so that could have been a whole lot worse.
Yeah.
That was it.
Based on what I saw, I'm taking it, the custodian was there, caught it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, we had folks there that smelled smoke, and then it also set off, there's smoke detectors in the ductwork.
Okay.
And one of those was triggered. That sent it out to dispatch. They came out and had it out pretty quickly. Fortunately, it's in a metal box about like that. It was contained in the box, so there was no other damage anywhere else. Other than the smell of smoke in the room.
Thank you. Anything else for Adam or Travis?
Appreciate the update.
Yeah.
Nice, thank you.
Moving on in our work session agenda, next is Chris dealing with some financial issues.
I have an update. Retirement plans that we had talked about before are moving from several different providers to all 403B. One 403B plan that will have non-certified retirement and certified contributions as well. That plan is set to go live this Friday. So new contributions will be going in there as of Friday from here on out. It's been well over a year working with Cap Trust on that one. Coming up at our next board meeting with the adoption of the budget, there'll be a series of resolutions that always go along with that. They include the bus replacement plan, the capital projects plan. There'll be a form or resolution to approve the rates and the levies. There'll be a budget adjustment resolution that we always do, and that's if Department of Local Government Finance needs me to make adjustments, which they will on debt service, because it's an estimate that gives the treasurer of the building to do that. There'll be an appropriation reduction from rainy day. And what that is saying is that we're not going to spend all of our rainy day this year, so we're going to reappropriate it next year. So what that does. Bonds of 26 coming up on September 10th and 17th. Notice of determination will be published in the paper that goes along with what we did last summer, where we approved the project and all that's ready to go. That goes into the paper to tell the paper that we're moving forward with the bond. And then on September 28th, there'll be a resolution to reapprove our building corporation. That's the same members that were in there last time. And then also a resolution to approve a supplement to our continuing disclosure. From there, the building corp will meet and they'll approve the issuance of the 2026 bond. And the bond can be held after that approval. And then it will come back here for closing. Much less than what we had in the past because we've already done it. So that's all I have.
Mike? Curriculum staffing issues?
We are doing really well on staff. We replaced the one at Demont, so I believe that we are, pretty well complete with staff members. Looking at the student population and enrollment, Wheatfield is at 268. Demont is at 535. Intermediate school is at 451. Middle school 683 and the high school is at 930. So from 2 weeks ago, there's slight adjustments there. And we are at 2,867 students as of today. Okay.
Right. Those are all the items that we have for the work session. Good. Okay, well, we adjourn the work session and we'll move into an executive session and dealing with school safety. 35.